In progress.
Very good evening, members. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Mr. Surya Prakash, Rajesh, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Okay, it's a good, and I know that there are 100 people coming up. We will wait 1 more minute for others to join. I know there is a little delay and a 1 minute's delay for joining the call because we were trying to solve the Zoom problem. That's sorted out now. And thank you. Then we will start in a minute.
Sure.
Okay. So I could see around 100 participants now. I wanted to wait another 30 seconds. Okay, then we have crossed 100. I'm happy then, and let me start. First of all, welcomes to the regular CP meeting. From a Bangalore chapter perspective, we try to conduct this CP session twice a month, many of the time. And sometimes due to festival and some other reasons, and some of the months and we could only do one, and because of other various factors and the people's availability. But for this time, and this is a little peculiar topic, and because now the expert what we have, he's coming from a hands-on experience, and which we generally don't get it. And there is a big difference between theory as well as what you actually do, and like hitting something like Google, Facebook, and who's actually tried to do something. And that's a person we have today for us to talk about the topic. Okay, then with that, I welcome Surya Prakash. He is an expert in cybersecurity. That's what I mentioned, that it's not an SME, and he has gone beyond that, and he is expert with all the hands-on experience to share his knowledge today. Currently, he is a head of DARWIS, SFS, and the Threat Intel API of CySecurity Corporation. It's a good one, but when you see the presentation, and Surya Prakash will show you what is CySecurity Corp. And because this is a new name, and we generally know Security Corp, correct? Just add a cyber security, because why Cy, and that will give you a CySecurity Corp, cybersecurity. He is a founder and shareholder and a director of CySecurity PT Limited. He has very rich experience, and also he headed the team that built the DARWIS Cdr API, and he will explain what is this, okay? And he's the best person to explain that. And also he was part of that de-anonymizing API SSL grading program of the Rija Vajra APT cloud scan for the organization. What literally does this, and all these technologies are running in many of the BFIS organizations, banking, financial service sector organization around the world. And the area which I was talking about, he is in the Hall of Fame of Google and Facebook. Okay, he has found the critical vulnerability in both the organization in the past, and he has extensive knowledge on blockchain. And that is again, when I talked about Web3, and which I presented some time back in one of the DSCI seminar. When we talk about Web3, and blockchain is my key elements for in the Web3. Now he has an extensive knowledge on blockchain, and has found a major vulnerability on blockchain, multiple blockchain as well. Our expectation that blockchain is something which you can touch, but he, with his cybersecurity expertise, he could even identify some of the threats in that as well. With that, I welcome Surya Prakash. Surya Prakash, back to you. Before that, Narasimha, would you like to add anything?
No, I think it's good. Just that, you know, as a program director, we apply a lot of thought in bringing, especially the different types of speakers. And it should be an optimum combination of core technology. One set of it could be core cybersecurity, and other could be, you know, something on governance, since we have a mixed audience. And I would probably say this is something to do with, you know, core cybersecurity, and those who are, you know, interested in that, I think there's a very, very interesting discussion. And I think that's about it. Over to Surya Prakash, and watch out for another CP session, which will be probably a couple of weeks from now. We'll be notifying it to you. And that's another thing, a little on the core hands-on approach as well, where ransomware and targeted simulation and other things are there. That's lined up a couple of weeks from now, every alternate week, as we said. Yeah. Surya Prakash, the stage is all yours.
You can switch on the camera as well, Surya.
Thank you for the introduction, sir. Actually, this computer, I have not enabled the camera. It will take me some time to start it. So can continue. Maybe in the next meeting, I can set up the camera, sir.
Okay, no problem. Please continue.
Sure.
Yeah.
I thought maybe there was some vulnerability which in Zoom which you sort of figured out, and that's why your camera is off.
No, sir. Can you give
just
me
on a lighter
the
note,
screen
but
sharing?
I think
permission, sir?
Yeah, Rajesh, I think you'll have to make him the co-host.
1 second. Let me do that. Let me choose Surya and make a host, make a co-host, make co-host. Okay, Surya, can you accept it? You are the co-host now.
Yep. So I'm sharing my screen currently.
Yep.
Hopefully everybody
We
can see
that.
and you can hear me clearly. Yes?
Yes.
So, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I will start the presentation. Right. So we are CySecurity Corp. We are a US headquartered organization. We have offices around in 6 countries around the world. Our main services is on cybersecurity, of course, from the name should be obvious. And in this, it's going to be totally a technical presentation. Okay. So, but what we will do is we will learn about some of the things that we as an organization ourselves learned when we were building this API. So that and we will learn about what is CDR, how does it work practically, and what are the different ways it can be implemented, and how we have found a proper solution for especially with things like how it's done in India. We have a lot of privacy laws that are coming up, and especially with the BFSI, there's a lot of importance given to KYC data and things like that. So we will just go through those in the presentation. This will be purely technical. I have prepared for about 30 to 45 minutes, and we can have a 15-minute question and answer. Somewhere in the middle, we will try to have some discussions, but mainly we'll have the questions towards the end. Yeah. So we will start. So we have built this product called the Threat Intel API, right? And as part of that, we have some things, right? We have this what we have built. We have built it for organizations which are processing KYC and loan applications for BFSI sectors, right? And we have different APIs within that. We will be mainly focusing on WS7 that we built and WS6. And WS3 is something that we built to detect malware using only the hashes. WS4, which we built for our honeypot. WS4AR is, again, we built it for the KYC and loan applications. WS6 is for detecting emails and IP addresses. We'll go through in depth of all of these, but mainly we'll be focusing on WS7 and WS6. WS7 is for is our CDR API. So we will also learn what is CDR, and we will see how different APT groups, abuse these sort of forms and applications to get into networks.
Okay, Surya, we lost you. Okay, now, okay, you are not speaking. You are moving to the next slide. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Hopefully everything is still here, yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, one second, I'm just opening up something else. So I'm sure many of you are familiar with PDFs and document files. Yes. So a PDF and document files are very commonly used in all organizations, and they are used to share information both within the organization and from outside the organization, right? And this is a very common threat vector. And so here in this example, what is happening is that Bob the hacker here is posing to Janice, who is in the organization, as her boss John, right? Okay. So Bob is the hacker, Janice is the victim, and her boss, who she would be expecting files from, is John, right? So we have all heard about spoofing and things like that, right? Where people will spoof emails, or they will buy domains that are similar to the company, and they will send emails. So this is something we see commonly with the with the scams that are like related to sending fake invoices and things like that. I'm sure all of you will have heard of those stories, right? But in this case, what the attacker, that is Bob the hacker, is doing is sending an email to Janice. Okay, and once Janice opens the email and opens the PDF, there is an exploit that is being run. So I am not sure if many of you are aware, but the different PDF readers. So by PDF reader, what do I mean? Adobe, your own browser, Chrome, Firefox, all of them. The PDF file is being opened by the PDF reader, right? And they might contain exploits and vulnerabilities. And if somebody crafts a malicious exploit and this person opens it in a vulnerable software, it will the attacker can gain control of the system. Okay, so that is what is happening here. The same is there for doc files also. Word and other different word processing software are also having vulnerabilities and exploits. And if somebody opens a document which is having an exploit with out of date or an insecure reader, then the computer will get compromised. Okay, so that is the premise of this. And what happens is once the Janice opens the file, right, the attacker connects out and he gets access to the network, to the Janice's computer. And a lot of times here what happens is there might be other controls like proxies and things like that within an organization to protect against this direct malware. So what an attacker might do is they might set up a proxy service within the organization to forward these connections. So basically what happens, somebody gets an email or any file, they open it, and because they open the file, they're not running an exe, they're not running a program or anything. They're opening just what they believe to be a document, a PDF or a Docx document, and when they open it, they get infected. Okay, so that, I hope that makes it clear on what a PDF or a doc exploit is. So so earlier there used to be like normally malware used to be sent using the using the email itself. So somebody would just send a exe file, people would used to open it. This used to happen a lot in the 2000s. And then what happened, started happening, the mail provider started giving warnings. Many of the mail providers do not now allow people to send emails with exe files. I'm sure you are aware, you would have seen, if you try to send a exe file in Gmail, it will not allow you to, right? So those sort of protection started coming in. So cyber criminals started finding newer and newer ways to infect a computer. Okay, so earlier it used to be just executables. Now executables by default, even if you download an executable, the latest operating systems, they will ask you to give multiple acknowledgements, and only then they will allow you to run it. Sometimes if the exe is not signed, it will not run. All those sort of issues are now blocking criminals from using these methods, that is directly sending the executable file. Now what the attackers have moved on to is sending malicious PDF, doc and docx attachments. Okay, and because we presume that the PDF or doc is a clean file, that is, if I open it, the only thing that might be there is the document might be there, it might not be there. Many people do not think that there might be some malware or there might be a way to get infected through the doc and PDF files. And this has been used extensively by ransomware organizations. This has happened and caused a lot of damage to a lot of big organizations. And I'm sure you would have seen, I think a couple of years back, there was the UK NHS had a cyber attack where all their computers got locked, right? And one of the methods used to spread was these sort of exploits. And you can see in that case, what happened was the hospital network got affected, right? And this is affecting more and more organizations, and other even government agencies are now very aware of these sort of exploits, right? And the weaponization of PDF exploits is something that is happening, and that is going to keep happening, because as long as we have these readers and these applications, they will always contain vulnerabilities, right? And it is just a matter of either the computer is secured or the network is secured enough that even if a computer gets infected, the network is not at risk. But that is seldom the case, right? So like in this example, you can see some attackers use malicious PDFs to attack even Google and Adobe. So even Adobe, which is the creator of one of the PDF readers, right? Adobe Reader, which almost the majority of the people use, was the victim of a malicious PDF attack. So that says a lot about it, doesn't it? Because even a company which creates the reader is being affected by this vulnerabilities. So at the bank or the financial organizations, right? This attack comes in a different form. Currently, most providers now don't accept files in the emails and things like that, right? Only within the organization emails are used. But in this case, what happens is the vector of attack has changed a little bit to KYC. Okay, currently now majority of the banks and financial organizations have moved to a completely paperless and instant or very quick account openings, right? And a lot of them now allow you to open accounts without actually visiting any branches, right? And without actually filing, especially savings accounts now can be opened without with just an Aadhaar card, right? And the KYC and other such documents are taken directly from the user, either via mobile application or via a web application, right? So here in scenario one, the bank publishes a link on the portal for customers to update their KYC documents, and the hacker might fill this KYC portal. He might get the link from somewhere, right? And he might try to impersonate a valid customer and upload a file with an exploit, right? So where is this exploit run? If you really think about it, right? Like the file gets uploaded, somebody has to verify these files, right? Currently, we have some automation there, but a lot of it is still being done manually, right? People will have to check that the document, that KYC document that is uploaded is a legitimate document. And the person that is doing this within a bank or any financial organization is somebody who has access to a lot of systems and has access most of the time to a lot of the databases of the bank itself, right? And this is a very big risk. And when the person who is doing this, right, gets compromised, that computer gets compromised. So now the attacker has the control of the entire network, right? And they can then spread from that network towards different places. So you can see here in this example here, the KYC systems get compromised. They are all connected to other inter-organizational networks, that is the customer services, IT department, administrative departments, HR, all those things are getting affected because of this. And in another scenario, the APT attacker again uploads the doc and PDF files to different departments. And in this example, what might happen is the attacker might also try to get in through the HR portal. So the organization might have a HR portal in which they are hiring people, right? And of course, when it comes to hiring, there's also a requirement to open documents, CVs, certificates, and things like that, right? So when the HR computer opens this, right, and their computers can also get infected, and from there the attacker can move again in the network. So that is what is happening here. And here also we have inter-vendor attacks where one vendor gets attacked, and because of that vendor, the main organization gets affected. The organization might think, okay, this is only coming from a vendor, so I can trust this file. When they open it again, they can get infected. And once that infection happens, it's a lot of times it's already too late. The attacker will have more footholds. They will move through the network. And what CDR aims to do is to stop this at a much higher level. Okay. So what is CDR? The CDR is simply content disarm and reconstruction. So that is what we are going to be seeing. Okay. So what CDR is what we'll see now. So this is the part where I show you the demo. Okay. So I'll just quickly tab out. Okay. Am I still audible and everything is still visible? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. So this is just a couple of screenshots. So I have taken screenshots because when it comes to live demonstrations, always it's like sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. there are a lot of things that happens, right? So I have taken couple of screenshots to explain the process to you, right? So in this example, right, there is the original PDF, okay, and that is just a PDF that is clean, okay. This file, then it gets we use as a exploit, and we create the evil.pdf. Okay, I'll just show you that. So this is actually our internal tool to detect any sort of exploits and different different ways in which something might be embedded inside the PDF file or doc file. Okay, so I run that original.pdf through, and there is no risk that has been detected. That's the main thing that we need to look at, and there is no other risk that this file has, because this is a original file which does not contain any exploits. But when I run it through evil.pdf, which is the PDF that we created for this demo, this PDF is containing an exploit actually, right? So you can see the tool detected that there is a suspicious JavaScript object, there is something embedded in the PDF file, and there is an embedded exe execution. We will see this also, right? And so there are different ways we can detect that, you know, this PDF file is containing something else inside also, okay, and it is giving that this is a risky file. So you can see high risk active content is the verdict that the tool has given, right? So because it is doing a lot of these things.
Okay, Surya, I have one question.
So it goes through our Cdr engine. Okay, so the Cdr engine, what it does, right? It basically, what it does, it reads the file, okay, and it disassembles it. That means the file is stripped apart, okay. It is again created, okay, after removing the sections which might contain an exploit. Okay, so what we're doing, we're assuming every single file is a potentially infected file, and we run it through the CDR algorithm, which will understand what a PDF file looks like, what a document file should look like when it is a clean file, and it will fill out the sections where an exploit might be kept, and it gives output as a clean file. So here I'm just running the evil.pdf. I'm getting a clean.pdf file, right? So this is a file which we have taken, which we know is having an exploit per this previous this thing, and we are creating the clean.pdf. Okay, so this clean.pdf, then we run it again through the checker, right? We run it through check.sh, and then we get the nothing detected, and this file is now disarmed. So basically, we are taking an active exploit, a file with an active exploit, running it through CDR, and the CDR, what it does essentially, in a very rough sense, is understands what a file looks like. It fills out the locations where an exploit might sit, right? Then it creates a new file without those extra exploits, and it creates a clean file, and this file is considered clean. So yeah, so this is the process. So the clean PDF goes through the verdict. The clean PDF is clean, then the exploit runs through, that is infected, and then it goes through the API, and then the exploit, the new PDF is created, and that is again returned as a clean file, right? So this is we do not know in the future what an exploit might look like. You see, for current exploitation, but what we try to aim to do with CDR is, even if it is a clean file or it is an exploit file, we will convert it and give the output which is a clean file. So the same is there for a doc. I'll just go to that. So this is the original .doc file. Okay, so this file again was tested. It found that there is no risk associated with this doc file. And when it comes to doc, it is actually more complex compared to a PDF file. Okay, it is more like a file within a. It has a lot of different files inside it. Okay, and to understand the doc file is a lot more difficult compared to a PDF file. So here I'm just listing out the different files. We have evil.docx, which is the file which contains the exploit. So I will show you when we run evil.docx through our checker, right? It has found that it is having a specific MITRE attack here. So right, see T1221, right? So this is a specific exploit and it is found in the web settings.xml, right? So you can also look up this MITRE number here, T1221, which is a specific vulnerability and a specific exploit in Word. And this file is trying to exploit it. So when it comes, like I said, right, docx is a little bit more complicated format. So what we try to do is we create a PDF file, because even if it is run through the engine, there are some chances of the docx still containing some remnants. So what we do is we create a clean PDF file from a doc file, and this would allow somebody to work with the file without getting infected. So we run the evil.docx, and then we create the clean.pdf. And of course, when we run the clean.pdf through the engine again, it will not contain the exploit again. So what we're doing, we're taking something that is risky, which is a doc file, and we're converting it into a clean PDF file again. So that's the process here. So here the doc is, the clean document is clean. When there is an exploit added to the doc, it becomes infected. It shows as infected. So, and then when it is again run through the engine, it gives out a clean file. So this is basically how the funneling works, right? So when it comes to PDF, there's an output of PDF. So there's pretty much the same. When it comes to doc, the output is again a PDF, because the PDF is a much more secure format and you can trust it a lot more compared to a doc file. I will actually show you one more demo here. Right. So I will show you the difference between what it looks like between a original file, that is the file without any exploits, and a evil PDF which contains the exploit. Okay, so here I'm just comparing. You can you all see this?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can. Surya, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear me, sir? You
yes.
see this, right?
Yes,
okay.
Surya.
Great. Okay, so this is what a PDF file looks like when you read it. Okay, so you can see it is first saying it is a PDF file. What is the version? This is just different format in which a PDF file is stored. Okay, so there is no difference between the original and evil file, but you can see the this is just the end of the original file. It's only this this big, but the evil.pdf is very big. Actually, you can see the scroll over here, right? For the file, original file, the scroll is very big. That means the file is actually small. Here you can see there's a lot of content here left to see, right? So I will just show you that. So this is the original file again on the left side. On the right side is the evil file. Okay, so you can see there is actually an object embedded. Okay, this is just, we're looking a little bit technical here. We're looking at the PDF file itself, which is containing exploit, and you can see it is having an embedded file. Okay, and you can see this is actually the executable and the executable code that is embedded. Okay, and there's just different ways. The checksum, which is used to ensure that the file is not edited. All those things are there inside this PDF file. Okay, so I will show you here. See. So there's actually some JavaScript code running. You can see. So that is what was detected when we ran the exploit. Also here, you can see when when we ran the checker. When we ran the checker, it was telling there is a suspicious JavaScript object and there is a embedded file and there is an execution for a PDF exe file within the JavaScript. Okay, and that is what is happening here. You can see. Okay, Hope you are all aware of cmd.exe, right? That is the program that you run to execute other programs. It's just the command line of Windows. Okay. So what is happening is this exploit, it uses JavaScript. It basically extracts a exe file which is here. Okay. This is not in hexacode. This is just a simple text file I'm reading it as, but you can look at it as a hex to understand the exe. But what happens is the CMD, right, runs this extracted file, and this extracted file is actually a malware or a virus, right? And you can see actually, right, this is actually the message that is being prompted. So currently Adobe will give you a warning actually. Okay, so and it will ask you to click do not show this message again when a PDF tries to execute. Okay, so what essentially happen is Adobe will give a prompt and say, do you want to run this? But this PDF file contains a text saying, to view the encrypted content, please tick do not show this message again box and press open. Okay, so basically it's trying to convince somebody to click on something and open it. Okay, so that is the exploit being run. So this requires some user interaction. There are some exploits which do not require any user interaction also. Okay, but since this is a particularly simple exploit, I'm just showing it to you. So basically this PDF, it has a JavaScript. The JavaScript is containing an embedded exe. The exe is then running the command line CMD, and it is executing itself. And this results in that computer getting compromised. Okay. Yeah. So this is the funneling of how the file works.
Okay, Surya.
What happens here is that, hello?
Surya, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
There are a couple of questions before you move to the next one.
We'll just finish the slide, sir, then we'll go to the questions, if that's fine.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Because there's a place for asking a question here from my side also, so that we can have some interaction here. So
yes.
So basically, here there's an input PDF file. It runs through the exploit checker. And the exploit checker, how the API process works, the exploit checker tells whether the file is potentially infected or not infected. This is the same for a doc file. It again gives a infected or not infected, but regardless, it goes through the CDR engine and gives a clean PDF. Okay, you might wonder why we want to know whether something is infected or not infected, even if we are planning to again run it through the CDR engine. If the people who are listening have any suggestions of why we require whether a file is infected or not infected, even if we are cleaning it, right? Maybe you can give people can give some suggestions on why we might require this. So please, we can ask those, we can have those questions. And anybody can answer this also, why a verdict of infected or not infected is required, even if we are going to clean the file.
I believe they can only put their comments in the chat.
Okay, so I will look at it.
Yeah.
We can wait for the questions. I can't see any.
Okay, then can I read it for you?
Yes, sir. I can't see any chats, sir.
Okay, the first one, the question is, what is a CDR engine?
Yes, sir. So, like I said, it's a content disarm and reconstruction. So what this engine does is it takes any file which might contain exploit, it disassembles it. Let's say there is a there's something you don't know what is inside. Okay, so what we are doing with the CDR engine is we are completely stripping it. We are taking out all the parts. Okay, and then we are only taking what is essential for a file to function, which is, let's say, a doc file will contain some text, it will contain some images, right? It will contain some charts and things like that. What the CDR engine does, it opens up the file fully, then it takes only the content which is relevant and creates a new file. And in this process, the original file can contain an exploit, but when we copy it over, we are only copying over the certain sections which are required. And before we are copying also, we are filling out the section where an exploit might reside. This prevents the file which we are creating new from having any exploits.
Okay. That's good. And there are three more questions. It's
Yes, sir.
some of them it's related now. Does it also work on encrypted file?
It can work with an encrypted file if the decryption password is provided. So if it is encrypted, we cannot even say what sort of file it is, right? If only because of the extension, we can say whether PDF or Docx, but really we do not know whether the file is actually a PDF file. You can even rename a PDF file as a doc file or a doc file as a PDF file. So only when you read the file, you can tell what sort of file it is, and then you can run to the CDR. So only if you have the key can this process run. So encryption is certainly possible. So decryption, and then we have to run it to the engine, because the engine by itself, when it is encrypted, a file is just a blob of data, right? When data is encrypted.
Okay.
It does not have any specific format as a doc format or a PDF format. It's just encrypted data. So we cannot actually tell what is inside. That's sort of the point of encryption itself.
Good. And one more similar one.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you saying that hacker with the malicious intent will send a malicious PDF file, which when clicked will activate the malware, which will get access inside?
Yes, sir. So there is no exe, nothing. When the PDF is opened, the malware is run. So that is what I showed here also. Hopefully the screen is still visible. So
Yes.
This is an embedded file in a PDF. This is the PDF file. When the PDF is run, it will give you a prompt. When you give OK, the exe is executed. There is also some exploit which don't need the prompt also. Okay, so you can see that the execution is happening here. So this is actually a evil.pdf. This is not a exe file. This is not a MSI file, anything. This is just a exe file. Sorry. This is just a PDF file. When the PDF file is opened, the malware is run.
Oh, okay. And good. It's something new. And the one more similar question.
Yes,
Will the CDR work on 0 days as well? If yes, please explain. There are three questions from him. Let me read so that we can just repeat once. Since the CDR reconstructed the infected file afresh, isn't it resource intensive? How will handle a big PDF or doc file with images and long content? Can Cdr stop exploits being executed in memory? Then there are four questions. Let us go one by one. Does the Cdr work on 0 day as well?
Yes, sir. So I've also noted it down. So 0 day. So what we do is, this is to protect against basically 0 days itself, right? We are not going through a specific, there are two ways. One is we fill out the locations where we know there are previously exploits, but also what we do, we disassemble the file and create it again. So that prevents the 0 day from executing. Because where an exploit might reside is no place. But what we are doing, we are only looking at what is relevant to our file. We're only taking out that data.
Okay.
And the next question, I guess, was on resources, right?
Correct.
So yes, with proper processing, we can bring this down. The resources again it's only a computational problem. It's not that much of it's not a big computation. It's just a set of logical instructions. So it is certainly possible even for large files. Even a 100-page PDF also is possible. But usually when it comes to KYC and things like that, where customers and other people are sending data, is usually only less than 10 pages.
Okay. And the same one last question is, can CDR stop exploit being executed in memory?
Yes. So since we are not using the basic normal readers, we are having our own reader, right? There has to be a specific exploit for that. And what we do is we create we have a technology where the instance is created new every time, and the exploit cannot run in the memory basically, because the exploit itself will not get executed.
Okay. One more question is related. What happens to password protected files?
Same with password protected files. If the decryption key is provided, right, then we can check it. It's the same when a password file is given. The decryption can be provided.
Okay, then let us go. There are a couple of more questions, or would you like to take now? Otherwise, we'll move and
we'll finish and then go through, sir. Any answers on why we need the verdict? Anybody was able to get that? Why, even when we are cleaning the file, we are telling the verdict?
No, nobody could see that.
Okay. So let us go back and see where this is most used. We are going to use this if it is implemented where we are getting file from the customer or any sort of source, right? The person is probably already logged in or they given their phone number and things like that, right? So you want to know whether this person is trying to infect you, right? As an organization, right? There is a specific user who is logging in and always uploading uh, PDFs and docs with exploit. We need to know it, right? So that we can either block it or do some investigation into why this person is uploading exploding PDFs and docs which are containing exploits, right? And we can again build further controls. If a specific user uploads a PDF file which is containing exploit more than 5 times, we can ban him, or we can ask them to come to the office and provide that file, right? So there might be a requirement where there might even be an innocent case where that person does not know he has malware in his computer, and that malware is automatically inserting this exploit into every single PDF and doc file he is having, right? It might be that the person himself or herself does not know that their computer is compromised and they are uploading the files which contain the exploit. So we might ask the person to come to the branch with the physical documents so that they can be scanned and created there. All those sort of options are only possible when we run it and we find whether the file has an exploit or not, and then we clean it, because only if we clean it, it might simply be that these sort of instances don't get detected, and we can't take actions. Basically, that's why we give both the verdict of whether it has an exploit and also a clean file. Hope that's clear. So this is just different other services, other APIs that we built. WS3 is something we built that finds malware using hashes. So this is basically a hash lookup. If you provide the hash, it will tell you whether the file is a known file, whether it's a clean file, or whether it's an infected file. But it's only for hash lookup. WS4 is actually something that we developed for our honeypot technologies to determine if a file is containing malware or not. These are all engines that that is also being used in Cdr. So that's why I'm showing it to you. WSAR is something that was built again for checking whether a file which is being uploaded is a malware or containing exploits. Okay. And WS6 is a very interesting one. This is to determine whether the email being used is a de-anonymizing email or a IP address. Is anybody aware of this temporary emails? I can even show you a demo now if it's required. So I'll just, it works. Okay, we can see the screen. So yeah, this is actually something called 10-minute mail. Okay, so this is a website where anybody can go. They can just go and it will give you a email, and you can receive emails in this email. Like this, there are a lot of websites. Okay, and these websites, this is not the only one, and this domain keeps changing constantly. And these websites allow somebody to, pass the normal email verification that is required from many websites and many portals when registering. And this person is basically not traceable using the email address. Basically, if people are using their own emails, then you can actually trace and find out who's the person and this. But when somebody is creating an email like this, it becomes very difficult, right? So that is what this API tries to prevent. It has a database of all these different portals. It keeps getting updated. And if somebody is trying to register, so this is at the point of registration into any portal, any mobile application, anything like that, this API can be called with the email address and the IP address. And if the email address is part of one of these websites, right, that means this person is not a genuine customer, especially when it comes to the banking and financial sector, right? You're not going to sign up to your bank using some email like this. You're going to use your proper email, right? So something like that, we provide a scoring for the emails, and then we tell whether the email is an anonymizing email or a non-anonymizing email or a known email. And also then we also do a IP address checkup where the IP, if it is a known botnet IP or an infected IP or a attacker's IP, those sort of things are given. So basically, this can be tied along with the CDR, and this provides a lot more information on what sort of user it is, and this prevents problem users from getting onboarded itself. So WS7, again, this is the content disarm and reconstruction, right? So this protects against known and unknown threats, right? This CDR is there for documents, images, and PDFs, and removes the malware and exploits, right? So this provides a truly zero-day prevention. This is what we were discussing earlier, right? Because we are disassembling and creating, and we are not simply doing like a checking for a specific one, exploit or a specific set of instructions. And PDF, WS7 is primarily for PDF, WS7 image is for image files also. So actually, I don't think it's part of the presentation, but there are a lot of images also there which contain exploits, but which contain embedded files. They might not directly be used for exploitation. Okay, there are some exploits which are there possible in specific image viewers also, but majorly what we see with image is Stegano malware, where the malware itself is original malware itself is very small, which doesn't contain much malicious code. What it does, it runs and then it reads a specific image which contains the actual malicious code. So this prevents the malware from being detected by majority of the antiviruses. So that is something that is that we are seeing as a very big trend currently, that malwares are now using images to hide the data. So this CDR can also be used to remove the fill the contents or locations where this sort of Stegano malware might reside. So that is what is CDR. We can go to questions. So this is my phone and email. Yes, we can also see it. So that's basically the end of the presentation, sir. I will stop sharing. If and when required, I will share my screen again when we have any questions.
Yeah, Surya, we have a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The first question, and what is the success percentage of CDR?
Success percentage as in whether a file is, the file conversion is 100% success, right? Whether a file is, actually containing malware or not, that we are using specific rules which are only used. So there is a very less false positive rate in this.
Okay. Okay, then the next one, answer live. How CDR different from EDR? Is it a subcomponent of EDR solution?
So by EDR, you mean endpoint detection and response?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Right. So that is completely different from CDR. Endpoint detection is more like a detection of any sort of malicious activity going on in a system, right? So that is completely different from CDRs. CDR aims to stop these things from happening itself. So it's a preventive tool more. So endpoint detection is a responsive tool for any sort of infection. CDR is a preventive tool.
Okay, that's good. And then why not infected file needs to pass through CDR engine?
Why not infected file? That is what I said in the example, right? Because even if we know the file is infected, we will still run it through the CDR engine, right? Because the CDR engine will clean it 100%, right? And it might be that if it contains actual detail of the person, what might have happened is the person is having a proper file, but some other malware sitting in that person's computer has inadvertently, without this person knowing, infected that file. So this person should be alerted, saying, you have uploaded your document, right? Your document is correct, but your document is containing an exploit. That means this person cannot be, you can even integrate it with net banking, right? You can say this person is uploading the file, that file is containing exploit, but the file is a legitimate file, but it is containing exploit. So we can then assume this person's computer is infected. Yeah, so we can even disable net banking, or we can disable other sort of computer-based actions for that user until they maybe come to the this thing, or they've run an scan, or they've given a consent saying, okay, I have cleaned my computer. So this prevents a lot of fraud from happening for the client itself.
Okay, that's very good detailed answer. Now the next one, we are checking, even though it will go through the engine probably to see how some files are creating false negative in pre-check stage.
I think that's the answer. That's an answer, sir, not a question. I think we're checking even though it will go through the engine. I think that was an answer to my question, sir. If I'm
Okay.
not wrong.
That was,
Yes.
yeah, then that came a little late. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's good. And it's from anonymous attendee. Otherwise, I would call the name. And will EDR or firewall take care of access to attacker for system?
So EDR, I guess you're talking about again endpoint detection and response.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
And firewall. All of these are specific protections against specific things. Right? When it comes to a security posture, it is always important to have multiple solutions in place that are working together to prevent attacks. Again, always you cannot say everything is 100% safe, but when you run it through systems like this, right, you are reducing the chances of these sort of attacks from becoming big events.
Okay, and the next one, does the CDR work for password protect? That we already answered.
Yeah, this we answered. Yes, sir.
Will CDR work on video files?
CDR can be done for video files. Currently, our API does not have that, but that is something that is possible. But video is something that is captured on the slide of the bank or the financial organization. The video is not captured on the client's location itself usually. So there is not much requirement for cleaning. So because the person who's doing the video capture is a trusted source, right? So currently we are using Zoom, right? I am not recording the video on my computer and uploading it to Zoom. What is happening is Zoom is recording the video on their server, right? So you can consider that source to be more trustworthy than a specific person uploading the files.
Okay, that's answers actually. Then okay, there are some forensics answer live done. Okay, we need to identify the exploits to quarantine the files and prevent from causing more damage.
Yes, sir. So that I guess that is also an answer to my
the
question,
earlier
why
one.
why we detect the malware or the exploit also, even if you are converting.
Okay, what is DARWIS and full form for us? Is this method for only the exe found?
No, DARWIS is our product, sir. So WS, I guess was the question, right? WS is the web service. That's all. WS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a lot of different services that we're having.
Okay, and even I was about to ask you also that same question. What is DARWIS?
WS is a web service. DARWIS is our entire. We have a couple of products, so it's part of that.
Okay, this is from our past president Shashi. Can CDR stop exploits being executed in memory?
Yes, sir, I think we already answered this. But basically, CDR can stop exploits from being executed in memory because most exploits are run in memory only, right? And we are cleaning the file and we are giving, right? It's like basically like a full sanitization of the file. So it is preventing the exploits.
Okay. Shashi has one more question.
Yes,
agree that a CDR will be useful in case of file received from non-source. What if the user is browsing a site and downloads a drive-by malware? Will CDR work in such case?
A drive-by malware is something that exploits either the PDF reader of the browser itself or the browser. There's also a browser-based drive-by exploits, right? So those sort of things would not be covered by a CDR API, but a CDR engine that is running on the computer, right, might prevent will prevent actually the PDF and sort of exploits from running. if there is some sort of Cdr implementation run on the computer itself.
Okay. How does it work on cloud platform?
So this API is available in the cloud platform. So you can have the cloud connect to the API, receive the clean file back.
Okay. A little different question. Can you please
Yes,
explain the threat hidden using the JPEG PNG?
Can you explain the threat hidden using the JPEG PNG? So that is what is the Stegano malware, sir. So what a Stegano malware is, it the exe or the bin file itself that is running in memory, okay, will not contain any malicious code, which it will look like a very simple file. Then it will read the image. The image will actually contain the malicious code, okay. And since many antiviruses do not consider image files to be a threat file, like a exe file or a MSI file, it will not get that deeply checked, and that data can be extracted from a Stegano file, right? And then it can run the malicious actions. So exe will simply be running in memory, right? It can have the keylogging function. I'm sure all of us are aware what is a keylogger, right? A keylogger is a program or a piece of code that logs every single type that the person is doing. So including any usernames and passwords the person gives in the websites. So the the keylogger code might be hidden inside the Stegano malware, and that is a way of hiding it, basically.
Okay. Then we have one more minute. I'll take one more. There are several questions.
We can try to go through them quickly, sir. It's fine.
Okay, you are okay with that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does CDR constantly check if any malware is executed in the memory?
Yeah, the engine that we have built is actually like a creation and deletion engine. So it will not actually allow any sort of, we assume that even if the CDR engine gets infected, it will not be for more than one file. And it keeps creating new instances. That's how the technology has been built. But the way it's written itself, there is very little, there's no chance of exploit being run actually.
Okay. Is that the CPU? Okay, I added. Okay, yes, that is I need to answer. That I will do. The next question. Let me pick up the best one. Are these API cloud hosted?
Actually, this is provided as also a client hosted system, because when it comes, especially with our banking sector, there might be a requirement for them to host this internally, because KYC files, of course, will need some extra data protections. So this is also possible in a server which is hosted by the person who is using it, or they can have a shared instance and things like that. So it's entirely possible to set up locally.
Okay, and because it is preventive tool, what effect it will have in performance?
So this is basically the API, how it will be implemented will be a change in how a file is displayed to the user. So basically, if you're having a form that is that you are uploading files, what will happen is when it is uploaded, right after the user has done their action, this check can be run. So before it is viewed by the person who's looking at KYC, but after the person has uploaded, there will not be any big change in the speed. There will be fraction of a minute change in the file being uploaded and the person being able to view it. And a lot of times the same file is uploaded, so person might use the driver's license for both the address proof and ID proof also, right, with certain documents. So it's entirely possible that the same file is uploaded for two locations, and that place the API can provide the files much quicker. And of course, it has a way to delete those files once it's done.
Okay, good. And I'll pick up one more question. Cdr solution is built on SaaS model?
It is a software as a service, yes.
Okay.
It can also be implemented on a computer, yes, on this thing, and also on specific servers within an organization. Organization might not be too keen on, especially with financial organizations, they might not be too keen on having the files upload to a third party. They can have this entire software and API implemented on one of their own servers.
Okay. Then are you said the malware will run? Does it require privilege right to be run and get installed? Or will the system be infected with just opening the file?
Just opening the file. So if the file is just opened, the computer can get infected.
Okay. Will the user be able to create playbooks on CDR?
I'm not understanding that question, sir.
Playbooks means we can create our own what you call customized queries. Basically, it's a kind of procedure, a little detailed one.
I'm not sure on that.
Okay, take an example. Ansible playbooks create. Then I say that for running the health checking, then I use a playbook for Linux. And I use a playbook for maybe a Windows system. That's the meaning of playbooks here.
It's just a document though, right?
Correct.
That can be converted, of course.
Okay, and the last two question not answered. Can we take answer live? Yes. Abhishek Tiwari. If CDR keeps checking memory, is it needed to scan files at all? So anytime exploit come to memory, it will be cleaned anyway. Just wanted to clarify.
No, the CDR that we are showing here is an API-based CDR. So the file will be submitted by the applications before it is shown to the user and cleaned and given. So the file that is given to the user is considered clean. So there's no requirement to check in the memory.
Okay. There is one more. Whatever prevention you are talking about, isn't the email security serve the same purpose?
The email security will only work for emails. Of course, it doesn't protect against infections via web portals and web applications, or even mobile applications nowadays. A lot of files. There are even some applications which don't have any websites at all. They will only work on the mobile phone, right? Even those are having upload, KYC, all those things happening on the phone itself.
Correct. Now, there are several questions now. What I will do, I will just keep all those questions to you, and we can post the response in our wiki while posting the recorded one, because there are many. And I think so. It's a new topic altogether, and you had shown lots of hands-on the experience and the way the file looks like, and also how it's being run. This is something a little a unique experience for many of the people. And Surya, and thank you. And from Isaka Bangalore chapter perspective, and we literally value this this knowledge sharing with all the people. And while many of the people who is at the call, they are part of the system, they know what is vulnerability, but some of these exploits, and unless you see really in front of you, that you don't believe it, is it can happen actually. Okay, but the session what you covered, it's literally demonstrated that even the PDF, using just a PDF, and literally I can create a complete new threats code to exploit anything. This is something we know that we believe that the PDF, and that's something which you can't do much. Even if it is something in the PDF, it will not run. But the way you explained it, all can misuse the system, and with the right vulnerability injected into those files. Actually, that's very good. It's a new kind of learning, and I believe that we may need to call you sometime later, one more session this year, to go through a little more details for all of us. But it was a fantastic session, Surya. Although ideally it should have been 2 hours, not a 1 hour session. But in the next time we will do that a little longer. But it's an excellent session, and we literally value that. And from Isaka perspective, we thank you very much for taking a time on a Saturday and helping the information security professionals to gain more knowledge on the threats, on this, but advanced persistent trust and the threat. APT, everyone know the word APT, but how the APT, it's literally, and people are using, and how the content, disarm and reconstruction happens, it's something which you literally explain very well. Before I close and hand over back to you, Narasimhan, and the team, and hi everyone. As we know that, and ISACA Bangalore is one of the biggest chapter in Bangalore in India, and we are happy that you are part of our chapter. Many of you, if somebody not part of the chapter, and you can become the member at any point of time. And plus, what I wanted to share with you, we conduct lots of the CP sessions. At the same time, we also conduct lots of classroom trainings. And because of the pandemic, we are doing it online. That is for CISA, CSAM, CRISC, CDPSC, CGIT. Whoever wants any query, and they can just write it to ISACA Bangalore chapter, and he will be able to answer to you, or you can log into our website to get more details. And then these sessions are very cheap, and compared to the industry, 8,500 or 9,500 for non-members, and it would be based on the chapter. It will be 4 weeks or 5 weeks, and that is conducted by the industry experts who passed, as well as who demonstrated that they are capable to decipher their knowledge to all the participants, and that you can just adopt. Plus, and there are some discount available if you all the new members, when you join now, for $93, and they will get a membership for till 2023. And then I request the chapter to publish that emails to everyone, and you can refer that. In the normal scenario, it will be $140, $150. Then it will be $93 for now. It's only September. That means 16 months membership. They will get it for that $93 plus. And if they are planning to write the exam, they will get all the discount, and they can be part of. They will get all the newsletter, lots of knowledge sharing, which all happens. And that's all the value addition from ISACA. And I'll tell you, based on our experience, becoming a part of ISACA and getting certification in any of the valuable topics, and will literally add your value. And that's what we follow: CISA, CSAM, CRISC, CGIT, all these things. And I literally request all of you to go through one of them. I'm not promoting ISACA, but I'm only promoting the contents, which will help us to demonstrate our knowledge in the industry. And some of the certifications are very well acknowledged and valued in the industry, especially in the banking industry and IT industries. Then I request all of you and attend the sessions, as well as, but I'm not telling that it's only Bangalore, and wherever you are, you should attend and take care of all those things, certification. And with that, I hand over to Narasimha. But Surya, once again, thank you very much from all of us, and for a fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Narasimha, back to you. Okay, may not be there sometime. And yeah, so with that, I still have 140 members still active, but thank you everyone. And the next time I will enable the chat as well option. Sometime I could not enable this time. I could see that 2 people raised a hand. What is that? Let me check those attendees. One is Pankaj Kumar. Pankaj, can you talk? You raise a hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for.
Yes, go ahead.
So my question is, I understand this tools is very useful, but just want to know, like, if the organization has already deployed, next gen firewall, let's say Sentinel-1, CrowdStrike, which prevent such type of attacks. And then just want to know what the benefit of using these tools, and how this is differentiate them, these tools, and what the features which is extra with that, comparing with the CrowdStrike, which will be useful for the organization if we go with this tool. Is it clear?
I don't know whether it was completely clear to, no, I couldn't see a Pankaj. And when I see that Surya is not there now with us.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Then sorry.
I wanted to know, just wanted to know from the next gen security solution, which is already in the market, like a CrowdStrike, Sentinel-1. So how this tools will be beneficial for the organization if we already deployed
Okay.
such type of tools.
Pankaj, can you send me that query? I will get an answer from Surya and send it back to you.
Oh, sure. So how can
Bangalore
I?
chapter, Isaka Bangalore.
Oh, sure, I will.
Okay. Angel, sorry, and because Surya had to go, and that's why we could close this. And I'll
no
pick
issue,
up all
that's
the question. I'll send it to the person, and I will get the answer posted.
Okay. Thank you very much.
With that, thank you everyone, and for attending a wonderful session. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.